Okay, let's make this clear. Disappointing doesn't mean the anime is awful. I mean, it can be, but it can be just good. Disappointment relies on your anticipation, hype, and expectation. Charlotte is among the few anime that come across my mind when I think of disappointment. It could have been great, but instead it just falls under the decent or below. Depends on how much you feel betrayed. With that said, disappointment has to occur if I have anticipation and didn't get what I expected. Does it mean the anime is bad? Not necessarily. Some, if not all, in the list are actually not that bad. It's the hype that can leave you feeling satisfied or disappointed, which is where we are going to focus here. The rule is simple. Anime has to be released around this year and ended as well. As previously said, it has to be the one that I was hyped only to be let down. Please, no pitchfork or plans to kidnap me. This is my opinion. I hope you understand that there's no concrete answer, especially since this is the most opinionated category you can get. Okay. Whew. Well, here I go. This is the 5 disappointing anime of 2016. I have to blame myself with this one because I didn't research enough to understand what Joker game is about, or rather how it is formatted. Taking place in World War II, Japan established a spy organization called the Agency. Lieutenant Colonel Yuki is in command and assigned 8 men to infiltrate and report any developments they retrieve from their location. These agents are hard-trained men that not only they can blend in with civilians, but they are master at manipulation, leaving no one to realize that they are spies. Only based on the hype by how popular it was with Japanese audience, thanks to the live-action adaptation. Plus, in the synopsis, sounds pretty interesting. I was on board. The first 2 episodes are pretty good as well. The problem is the series is a slice of life with multiple characters being introduced in each episode. In other words, there is no real one focused story. Because of it, it's a bit harder to be highly invested what we know we will get another character in the next one. The only one that reprises his role is Yuki, but that's only because he's in command. There's nothing wrong with that concept at all. I am all willing for multiple short stories, especially since you do get to see how each of them have to carry the job, which is amusing to watch. Sadly, some of them can be a bit slow or dull. Not the entire episode, but the moments in the middle. It does have a good payoff, but you wish it was a bit more story driven. The series is not bad, however. I actually like what I got. The concept is nice with the change of pace. Characters in their own stories are realistic and intriguing enough. Animation is pretty nice to look at, though some character facial look a bit similar. It doesn't end with a high note, but it does elaborate on why the organization is not something one should join with ease. I enjoyed it, but the first 2 episodes did have me fooled in thinking it was going to be a story-driven series, while other parts did make up for it, more or less. My expectation didn't match. I have mixed feelings about Kids Naiver. Sometimes I feel like it's a decent series. Then other times, I feel like it's weak. Kazuhiro Agata is just an ordinary teenager, though he has lost the sense of pain from the moment he doesn't remember clearly. Life was going as usual until him and 5 other teenagers are abducted by Noriko and her men, forcing them to enter the Kizuna system. Kids Naiver. It's the system that links to all participants with their pain. In other words, if one gets hurt, so does all others. Therefore, it's a project that will have them as lab rats, but perhaps they can learn something with each other. The concept is rather interesting, albeit a bit strange, though I was all in for it. It has a good potential to pull off something interesting and makes the journey well spent. While the concept is good, the execution or the focus of it isn't as strong as it wants to be. I like the fact that the pain all link up can be used in a way to understand each other or have them subconsciously start to care for others. That said, I think the problem is the anime have a little time to exploit more of its concept and characters. The problem is that the main drive of the system boosts up really early in the series, which is based on the strongest emotion. I try not to give it away, but the fact that they went with the big gun early on makes the characters a bit shallow. Well, save for very few, maybe. When they want to put the system to the max, It's hard to believe on some characters already have deep connection with someone else, not to mention many of them come across out of place. Individually, the characters are decent, pairings, romance or not, seem forced or phoned in because of how little time is set to focus on. The irony is that the one pair actually has a believable chance to be more than friends, yet it went with another pair that comes off a bit cringy since the foundation isn't as strong, nor did the presentation do any favor to it. I guess they're not good on working with silenced characters. The drama can be over dramatic, and with lack of strong build, it can be hard to accept. The animation is stylish, and the soundtrack is pretty neat. There are times I feel like they have to do something wacky in order to use their animation potential, which can be strange. The tone is a bit mixed as well, so it's difficult to take it serious. The ending is rather safe, so I found it to be underwhelming and bittersweet. Maybe if the series has more time, this could have been a stronger series, but for what it is, it's fine, I suppose. I am only sharing the same pain as the disappointing ones. Okay, alright. To begin with, I don't hate the anime, okay? Let's make that clear. I don't hate it, I don't dislike it, I like it. Sort of. I'm in the middle ground, okay? There's a middle, people! There's a middle ground! Okay, so what is it about? Subaru Natsuki was living in a normal life until he randomly transported to a fantasy world. Instead of questioning on why, he feels like he has a great journey that waits for him to embark. Unfortunately, he's struck into a moment of his death, which should be the end of his journey, right? That doesn't apply here, as he is revived to his last checkpoint, so he can die as many times as he wants. But is it something you want to endure multiple times, or is it something you want to overcome and see what waits? The anime got a lot of hype around end of spring entering summer season. I heard about it, but it was after following the hype phase no longer suits me. Eventually, I was going to watch it, but I did get some requests to go for it right away, so here I am. In the end, it was decent, but I couldn't understand the hype. In fact, even searching for one, I still don't get it. Instead, I got a lot of negatives that actually reflects my own opinion. Subaru is a weak character. Yes, I know he's the one suffering from it, I get it. But the last time I checked, I cared for the guy to feel bad. In this case, I didn't. If he started off as a good character as well as portrayed much better, then I would have cared a lot. But instead, I got series of Dead Space death animations waiting for me. The use of death is too frequent that I am reminded of why Saw movies were successful in the first place. I know he gets better, I understand that, but it takes a long time, especially since he's annoying from the very start. Then he just becomes a character that seems like we are touring on how he's going to act today. Instead of Monster of the Week, try Emotion of the Week. Even after episode 15, which is pretty good if you take away some other points, it came off, hey, we're to see how he acts as a pissed off guy? Stay tuned! Episode 18 was a great mixed bag. I really liked the sit down in one setting moment of talking and to establish on what we have witnessed, and it was going really well. But the dialogues and some of the redundancy did take away, and yes, that meme, I'm not sure how you really say it, was born from that moment. Because of that, I actually facepalm. I don't know why Subaru should be an example of a great character development when he only goes from bad to fair. Rem is the best character, or best girl as waifu hunter consider, because she's the only one with actual development, and I guess some character, but it's not great. I don't know if the lines from this series is intentionally want to be so bad it's good material, so I really don't get it. Other characters didn't get much to do nor develop, yet we're supposed to be behind Emily, who has moments, but because of Rewind Deus Ex Machina, it's literally an afterthought. The villain is hard to take it serious, so it's hard to take the environment serious as well. The end is okay at best. It's a moment of what you see, you'll be automatically pleased, rather than the build-up and the foundation makes it great. The sad thing is that this series exposed to me that people are willing to fall for anything that is on the blueprint, but forget the execution is important. The animation is pretty nice, as well as the soundtrack. They are decent characters, though many of them just don't have much going for, nor didn't have that much interesting background. The action is fun to watch, and some of the tension can be compelling. The best I can say is that the series is entertaining, which is fine. I just don't see it as amazing or great. Well, there's a lot to say, but this isn't a discussion for Raid Zero. Bottom line, it's entertainment, but it won't be something that I can strive for. That means you, waifu selector. Also, don't tell me it's a prologue excuse. I get it. Sadly, this is anime focused. Moving on! I don't hate the anime. I don't hate the anime. I don't hate the anime. Is the race still popular? If not, I'll be fine. This is the first anime that I was baited by the hype train from people, and sadly I was baited for disappointment. Satoru Fujinoma is a 29-year-old unsuccessful manga artist who has an ability called Revival to go several minutes back before a tragic hit, so it's up to him to save lives in due time. One day, his mother was murdered, but accused to be the killer, which transpired him to run away. Suddenly, he is sent much further back in time to when he was 10-year-old. It's up to him to fix everything that leads to that fateful moment. It really sounds like an interesting premise, and for what it was executed, it was handled nicely. For a short while, I thought the animation is pretty good, the soundtracks can be thrilling, and overall presentation feels like a really good movie story being told, mostly due to the cinematography shot. It also helps with the cinema display when covering the flashback can create the feeling of cinematic experience. The story of Kaoru is engaging and thrilling as the tension raised higher in each passing moment, and then there's a couple of really strong moments. The relationship between them is charming as well. The conclusion is rather anticlimactic, however. It was good while it lasted, so what's the problem? Well, after that story, we focus more on the main story, which is actually one of the weaker aspects. The main story has Satoru searching for the serial killer that not only will kill his mother, but also 3 kids. However, it never really sets out to be that thrilling as the side stories, so to say. It just lacks strong tension. The reveal is a disappointment, and it doesn't hold much weight when it seems like everything went accordingly, with having other characters to be a fool. Speaking of characters, beside the mother and maybe Kaoru due to her center focused story, others aren't profound or good enough to carry the story alone, including Satoru. Sometimes I find it hard to understand his driving motivation when he switches back and forth or changes all around. He doesn't come off as smart as one should be, or have the right reason of why he could have figured out the killer. Others could have done better, though the series was a short run, so all the stuff they want to help never came together. Ari is a little decent, but clearly an afterthought. The last third is where the series loses a lot of strong spurt, and yes, the last third is a lot to take away the greatness, to say the least. I can't say the present time isn't as enjoyable as the past. The powers is strange, as I can't understand on why it does the way it worked and such, so any rule can apply. The ending is rather mediocre, as it somewhat rushed the confrontation, and every good moment is just tossed in to say, "Good work, team." It's not a bad anime, but a really disappointing one. I really enjoyed the first 2/3 of the anime. Well, mostly the first 4 episodes. So seeing it going down the slope is hard to watch. I know the manga explains more parts and is done better than the anime, but the trade-off gives you other negative traits to endure. In the end, it is fine, but it could have been more than enough to erase the bad taste. Because you hear the song in the intro, you would think that anime would be listed here. Think again. Okay, I wouldn't go that far. I know Carbonera of the Iron Fortress has silly moments, and some of the moments can be a bit ridiculous at times. I get it, I really do. So why not just be entertained and just enjoy the ride? Sadly, the series didn't carry all the way to the end. It's chaotic world with Carbonate, practically zombies of this world, roaming all across the homes and bases. In this industrial revolution setting, people have to fight their way to survive the outbreak. Ikuma, the protagonist, is a steamsmith that witnessed the moment of losing his sister by Carbonate. Once he is bitten by Carbonate, he manages to overcome the virus and prevent him from becoming one of them. However, he is now a Cabanero, a mix of human with the power of a cabinet. It's up to him and others to fight through the epidemic. It's what you expect from a survival series. Tense action, multiple casualties, and at times, superhuman strength going all out. Yes, it has some odd moments, but it was pretty enjoyable. I don't mind those moments of nothing but slaughtering cabinet or some survival aspect that actually got me thrilled to see what's follow-ups next. It can't be contrived, but it was a fun ride. I also like episode 7 where things take it slow and have a good relaxation that makes it feel like there's a sense of peace that waits for them to enjoy in a long period of time. Ironically enough, it would be the episode that set the downhill spiral at full speed. As if the survival aspect wasn't enough to enjoy, they decided to write a storyline that's basically a revenge story. The world was being explored slowly but nicely. A story like this wasn't needed for a while, if not ever. The previous charm is gone, and everything becomes like an afterthought. I know they tried to pull some Walking Dead moments, but it was done so poorly that you no longer feel attached to the survival. The villain isn't really all that special or interesting. The story hosts a lot of character with ongoing developments or potentially develops into someone. Mume was fun to watch, albeit some of the odd choices there was potential to expand more, but then this story occurs and everything went to a halt, which is ironic since it's supposedly developed further. Ikuma has good things going for in the beginning, but later subdued to the revenge plot, which happened rather quick. The ending is somewhat weak, with a lot of craziness going on. It felt like it was the final arc, making sure it ends on a good note if there's no season 2, which it will receive one now. It's only weak because of the poor executed plotline of the revenge story, with the villain not really fleshed out more. Characters that either regress or pause under the more interesting development or could have gained one. So why is this anime my #1 disappointment? This was the first anime that I tried on my own. No recommendation from anyone, and I was engaged by the first episode. The visual is rather damn good, even great to some extent. There are plenty of cool and fun moments to see, especially since Araki, the director, can do it in style. However, my main reason for disappointment is one thing: the soundtrack. Good God, why Hiroyuki Sawano has to compose it here? Why his talent in this disappointing series? I know everyone has their own opinion, but the soundtrack is so good. Random fact, I read Kingdom with this soundtrack and it makes it incredibly epic. Hell, I often forget it's not from Kingdom, but by God, I wish it was. Well, at least composed that fits well with the series, but I know he can do that. You think I care for Blue Exorcist for the series? Ha! I only care for the soundtrack. That's it. Okay, not really, but it's actually my main hype. Oh well. At least Attack on Titan Season 2 soundtrack will be glorious. Bottom line, it's not that bad. It's okay. But it could have been more. It should have been more. In the end, it's the most disappointing anime of 2016.